Hello and welcome to This Week in Property. I'm your host Richard Swan, and in these very uncertain and fast changing times, we've got these quick ad hoc episodes that we're throwing out to try and help as many people as we can. And if you saw the last one, in fact, if you haven't saw the last one, make sure you go back and watch it, because the guest we've got today was dropping a lot of insights and some instructions and advice that was very helpful. But he promised that he would be at the end of the bat phone. We could call upon him, get a wee update on how things move along, because there's lots of things that are changing. That is, of course, the one and only Mr. Paul McFadden, and we have got him back today for a little update. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Richard. Part two of what seems like so many things that's happening on right now. It's just crazy.
Exactly. So we're in isolation, we're in lockdown, you can call it what you like, all these different labels on it. Very serious situation on a health front, on people around us front, NHS, and our thoughts certainly go out to all those fantastic people that are doing everything that they can with the very serious part of the kind of knife edge of it all, if you like. But behind that, people have to carry on individually, family-wise, business-wise, etc. But if we have a lockdown, if we have an isolation, if we're not moving about, then surely that's it. Does everything not stop? Or is there things that we can do, that we can work on, that we can focus on, etc. during these times?
Well, for sure. I think we should jump into that, because right now the last thing that anyone wants to do is just sit there and twiddle their thumbs, or sit there and get caught up with, binging on Netflix or whatever that may be, because, there's two sides to this. There's people who are in a position where they have a number of businesses or their own business, and they'll be quite busy at the moment firefighting, putting people's minds at ease and forward planning and dealing with a lot of the things that maybe we could touch on with regards to how to protect your business, how to get cash flow going, how you're going to get through this. And then for the flip side will be those who have got a lot of time in their hands. And we need to understand that what we can do with that time to make sure that we've got a routine to make the most of this lockdown, because there's massive opportunity if you can step back and go, okay, how can I position myself? How can I reinvent myself? What can I do right now to prepare for when things come back to normal?
Yeah, exactly. And there definitely is always something you can do, isn't there? There's always projects, there's always things you can catch up on. I suppose there's a bracket of people who, yeah, for some part, they're enjoying as best they can some time they might not normally get with family. That's cool. You should definitely have those wee blocks, those wee bubbles.
Pass after 2 days.
Was that after 2 days? Exactly. There might be a group of people who are just, that's it. The feet are up. Netflix is on. The big bag of Doritos are out, and I'll just see what happens whenever this blows over. But there are other people who, they're getting into things, they're catching up on wee things around the house and DIY projects and what have you. Well, we've always got those DIY projects and things bubbling away in the business world, and we don't usually get to them because we're so focused on the constant regular activity. So I suppose we could always turn our minds to those things, can't we? Things we put in the back burner, things that maybe we should be working on, clearing up, making a bit better, things we can deliver better for our clients, those big ideas or big projects that we never had space before to really work on the implementation of them. Should we put our minds into those places as well?
So yeah, this is a great opportunity to pick up and get all of those loose ends, taken care of. If you think about it, this is a level playing field. Everyone is in the same boat here. From our point of view, with this whole self-isolation, being stuck at home, the best thing that everyone can do is keep to a routine. Because it's challenging, isn't it, when you've got family around, or it's easy enough to stay up a little bit later, get out of bed, much later in the morning when you're normally getting up super early because you're normally going to work, but you're at home. So the best thing that we can do is try and keep to a routine, try and get some regular exercise in, still spend time with family and so forth, because if you've got that routine, you're going to get more things done. And we can tick off a lot of loose ends. And there's going to be people out there that are very reactive at the moment. I know myself, I've been super reactive over the last couple of weeks, mainly because there's so many different moving parts. Having a number of different business interests, having a lot of property transactions going through, then if that is some of our listeners, then you guys will be firefighting quite a bit. And you've got to do that. But thankfully, I'm seeing light at the end of the tunnel with regards to being reactive and firefighting. So I reckon within a few days of getting on top of things and really starting to see, okay, how can we forward project? What do we need to do? This is the circumstances right now. So what can I start taking care of? What things that I've been sitting on that I haven't taken care of in the last few weeks that I can now get to and get on top of? So it's a great opportunity to tidy up all the loose ends, start to focus on what you want to be as you come out of this and what you're going to go and do. So we start preparing right now. This is an opportunity to reinvent. And this is what's quite exciting about what's happening, to try and turn a negative situation into a positive, that we're all in the same boat. And with this in mind, it's how you're reacting to this. It's a great opportunity to put yourself out there on social media, to be seen more. For those that are slow to act on the social media front because they're concerned of posting or putting themselves out there, well, this is a wake-up call for you to actually start doing that, because this is how you will market yourself, market your business. It's important that we start to embrace social media to reach more people. It's a great opportunity to get on the phone to a number of people that you're going to be working with, potential business partners, estate agents, to let them know that you're still in the market, to think about you, where you can move. There's lots of things that we could be doing to be proactive and really to make sure we've had a productive day rather than just sitting there and just letting the day go by.
Yeah, exactly. That lost time and focus on the things that you can control. I suppose the phrase about you're giving lemons, so make lemonade, that's never been more appropriate these days. It's a very serious situation. It's nothing that anyone would have asked for. We can't control it. We never initiated it. So the only thing in our control, as you've said, is how we respond to it. What will we do? How will we fill that gap? What will we focus on? What kind of mindset will we carry forward? And it's been quite remarkable. I'm just seeing it from inside the different companies that you run, how busy it actually is. I mean, we have never had so many video conference calls and messages and emails and projects flying back and forth, touching on the property angle. We have seen, obviously personally, and a lot of the viewers and listeners will know this, we've seen quite a lot of our refurb sites closed down because things like the suppliers behind the builders, they've closed down, therefore the builders can't get the supplies to come in. Yep, nothing you can do about that, can't control that situation. There are other flips and refurbs and so on where some wee things have still been attended to. Maybe one guy can go in and do the carpets. Each business owner is obviously taking their own decisions and obviously trying to keep up to date with all the health and safety advice. A number of our sales won't go through. But surprisingly, just to date stamp this today, so this is Friday the 27th of March just now, if you're watching this later on, we have had a sale go through today. And we weren't expecting that because there's been a lot of changes in the property market. A big suspension on property sales, and the registrars of Scotland, in our area that we're in, they've really put that suspension on, but they have advised they're going to be doing another update today. So that might be out by the time you see this podcast. But for us, just a stroke of luck. We did everything we could do for that transaction. We did everything in our control, got dispositions signed and hand-delivered quickly to a place without relying on the post. And then we just had to sit back because everything else we couldn't control. That's just the market, that's just the economy. And lo and behold, we were lucky. The transaction got picked as one of the ones that could be put through. I think it's like a new pilot scheme that they're doing at the moment. And again, even on that, if I follow that thread, the registrars of Scotland, they've said in the previous update that they're trying their best as quickly as possible to bring out a digital transaction system. Now, let's be honest, we don't want coronavirus, but a digital transaction system for conveyancing and title deeds and so on in Scotland, that should have been out decades ago, So those people, those massive organisations, they've got this chance now as well, lockdown, suspensions, halts of things to work on those projects, to look at things that should have been attended to a long time ago. So, it's not that, it's not that you're taking advantage, it's that you're moving forward as best you can, you're responding in the best way that you can. And you yourself, I know this just from being in those meetings, you've been able to actually assess a lot of land development sites just now. Ordinarily, you wouldn't have had the time to do that because, you know, you're flying to Dublin, you're flying to London, you're flying back to Glasgow. You were supposed to be in, I think it was Costa Rica next week with a whole host of your special clients. That would not have happened. These wee opportunities and deals and so on, they wouldn't have got to your desk. But because you've got that space now, you're then using that space and you're looking at these sites, you're working with the architects and the site managers, you know, remotely over video calls, and a lot of, you know, profit could come out of that. We'll be able to help and serve a lot of different people, you know, the land sellers, the construction companies when they manage to get back on, you know, and you've got yourself to a situation that, yes, you can't quite get planning on, you know, site number 2, but you can do absolutely everything right up until that point, that when the doors do open and everybody else, all the amateurs, suddenly wake out from their slumber and just start to pick up from way back then, you just hand over the kind of package and say, right, oh, you go, I've done everything. Now that you're back in the game, here you go. So you're getting a step ahead of people at the moment.
Yeah, that's quite funny you say that, because like next week we were flying off to Costa Rica, and I was going to be away for a month, and I work when I'm away, there's no question. But it wasn't that I was going away to work myself as hard as I'm working right now, that's for sure. You know, I was going away to chill a little bit, reflect on a lot of things, and yeah, just do what I usually do when I go over in Costa Rica while, you know, get some work done and enjoying family time. But it's completely changed, of course, and I have never worked so freaking hard, the amount of hours I've put in, and it's not because I'm having to, it's because I'm actually really enjoying it. It's the craziest thing. It's like I'm having long shifts, but I'm really using this opportunity for a couple of reasons. So I made a lot of money during the last recession. Now, arguably, I should have been in a much better financial position than what I ended up in, but I was young. I was dumb, I was stupid, you know, and when you start to come into a lot of money at a young age, you know, you do some silly things. At least I did anyway, you know, partying for the weekends, you know, thinking the money was never going to end, buying the flash car, the bigger house, and, you know, giving money to people left, right, centre, taking people on holidays, you know, buying all the material things that you think are important when you're coming into money. And I got complacent, you know, I took my foot off the gas. You know, I wasn't working as hard as I was, that got me in a position to have the money that I was making and so forth. And through that complacency and seeing the market really starting to turn again, you know, I almost blew all my money. Thankfully, I invested a large portion of that, but I was wasteful of that money. And when I look back, being 34 today, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe how wasteful I was of time, how that I had an opportunity to really be aggressive. Because what tends to happen is that when it's the good times and you're making money and things are all great, what normally happens? You know, I see this all the time. I've seen it in my own life, and I see it with many others, and I see it with a lot of our proteges, because, you know, when they get out there and becoming full-time in property, replacing their income, big deals and money's landing in their account that they're not used to. Some people making tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Some people approaching 7-figure businesses, making more money than they've ever made before. And then for them, like it has been for me, it's easy to take the foot off the gas and go on those extra holidays and spend more money on more things and upgrade that lifestyle. And I get it. I get all of that. But for me, what I've realized that this has been a wake-up call, because I probably was getting a bit complacent. Now, even though I was pushing the business forward, even though we've got big plans on what we want to do, but I was gearing up to go away for a month in Costa Rica and chill out a bit, you know? So when you look at all of this and reflect, the time when a business owner, the time where any entrepreneur needs to really dig deep and work hard, is when it is like a recession, when it is a downturn, because it's really the amount of work you put in, focusing on the right things, being really super focused on the right things is the key part here, because you don't want to just be doing anything, everything and anything just to fill your day. But that's where you've got to work harder. And arguably, it was a wake-up call going, do you know what? I have been coasting a little bit. We have been riding the good times. And those are the times when I should have been actually really super focused and working hard. So I need to make up for it now by really getting in to the nitty gritty and going, okay, what deals are we working on? How do we push those forward? So every single person, this is not a global financial recession right now. This is a global health crisis that we are finding ourselves in. But the knock-on effect of this, all the stimulus package, all of that, we are walking into a recession, whether we like it or not. And take this wake-up call, like I said in the last podcast that we did, and the message I'm telling everybody and anybody right now is take this as a wake-up call that we've got to work more diligently. We've got to realise that if we're being complacent, now's the time not to be. And it's up to us what we do in this time that we've got just now to really make sure that we get through this, adapt to thrive, but more importantly, when the recession does come, we're prepared. There's been too many people coasting, and we need to understand that it's not the time to be coasting right now. We need to be focused on the right things. We need to be building. We need to be protecting. We need to do everything that we can do to get through this, and then ultimately ride the next little rebound wave and understand that what we do over the next year is going to see us through the next recession that's going to inevitably come.
Okay. Now, you mentioned your property protege clients. Just a couple of nights ago, we had the weekly support call with them all. It was a fantastic call, very busy. I think it was over 100 people on there on the different software, dialing in from all locations, all across the UK, lots of them in Ireland, quite a few in the Middle East as well, and a whole group of them down in England. Did you enjoy that call? It went on for a long, long time. And also, what's your feeling of how they're doing, how they're dealing with things? You got a lot of questions, with a lot of messages. Have you been impressed by how some of them are dealing with the situation and, readapting their businesses and so on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I love about what we've got is it's a proper little community. I say little, there's almost 500 people in there, but we have a great community of people who are really wanting to step up and lead and really want to see the opportunity. And listen, everybody gets a wobble, that's fine. And that's why it's important these days to be part of a mastermind. It's important to be part of a group where you can speak to through these uncertain times. Because if you're listening to these podcasts and everything, then great, that's obviously great for you to make sure you're bringing in the right knowledge, you're listening to the right stuff, because it's easy to get caught up in the media and all the scaremongering and the fear that's getting caused. So it's good to feed your mind with the right information, the right kind of sources that's going to help you think differently around the situation and be able to go out there and actually, push forward with your business and act very differently. So I'm seeing that within the protege community. And it's powerful to have that. It's a great resource. And clearly when we've got a lot of people dialing in every week, they're looking to listen, they've got great questions, and the questions are really about preparing. How can you prepare for what's going to come next? How, and then really just sharing some of the ways that they can cash flow themselves through this, sharing some resources going to be beneficial for them and what they should be doing with their time and their energy, because being part of that type of mastermind group, that's where you lift everyone up together, and you that then starts to spread across. I love the whole butterfly effect where you're supporting, helping other people to go and lead their lives, and that's got a knock-on effect to everybody that they encounter, to anybody that's looking to them for leadership. So it's really good being part of something like this, and it's been great to see how much and how well they've responded.
Excellent stuff. Now, you mentioned cash flow challenges. That's an obvious one that a lot of businesses and a lot of employees themselves are facing at the moment. It is a tragic situation that we're all going through. The health is a paramount one, and then underneath that it's the obvious economic factors. So you've touched on a couple of things. You've also spoke to a lot of your contacts in the banking and finance world as well. You've got some close connections with some of the kind of senior business leaders as well. Everyone's seeing some of the updates that are coming out from chancellors and prime ministers and so on. What kind of key areas are you seeing that the businesses should look at in the short term to help themselves, but at the same time, which you definitely mentioned in your last show, the last interview we had, was that in the longer term, it's going to cause problems for the economy as a whole. So you spoke about that difference the last time, having a short term close look at your own self, your own company, but longer term having the awareness that all of this cash injection, all of the quantitative easing and so on and so forth, it is going to lead to what you've always spoke about, a massive global recession. What kind of things should they try and do with their businesses for cash flow challenges?
Yeah, so for those that have got their own business just now, and every business is getting affected just now. There's no question. There's a few businesses, a few that are still thriving through this because of what they offer or what they do, which is great for them. But for those businesses that are being affected, we need to take advantage of all the different options that's became available for us. And whatever the government say, understand that that's just a headline fact. The finer detail is taking what looks like a week or two lag period before the finer detail comes out and what you should be doing or shouldn't be doing. So the obvious ones at the moment is we want to be holding as much cash as we possibly can. So that may be contacting any of our customers that are due to pay us to see if we can pull in those funds to make sure that they are still going to be able to pay, because cash flow and cash flow in your business through this is going to be vitally important. So we want to make sure that we've still got that flow of funds coming. We want to contact your biggest people that you've got to pay, your biggest suppliers and so forth, to make sure they'll still be able to fulfill orders for you or whatever that may be. Contacting, if you've got a business premises, contacting, if you're renting that place, contacting the landlord there to see what they can do to assist you and help you at the moment. You're going to be wanting to contact any other suppliers such as your rates. You want to be looking to get your different grants that are available just now. Richard, you can maybe touch on that in a moment. You want to be looking for all of these things that's going to help support you. If you've got loans, business loans, contacting those lenders to see if you can get that payment break of over 3 months. Now that's providing you need those things. If you don't need those things, then understand that by putting those off just now, all that means is that you're putting off a bill that needs to be paid in the future. So you're not getting away from this. It's not like those bills disappear. So if you feel that you can cash flow yourself comfortably through this, you've got enough cash reserves, enough money coming in, you're not really overly concerned about things, then continue to pay those things, or at least such as your VAT, corporation tax, all of those big things, park them away into a secondary account, into a holding account, cash reserve. Don't be tempted to start spending that money, because that money is not yours. It doesn't belong to you. And with this in mind, if you do have to tap into that to cash flow your business, understand you've got a bigger problem than you might think, because that's going to be a big shortfall that you're going to have to make up for in the coming months into the following year. What you don't want to do is you don't want to get out of this by the skin of your teeth and realise that you've got an upward mountain, not a hill, a mountain to try and get up to get yourself back on track, because all you're doing is creating a future problem for yourself. So we need to really understand where we're at with our cash flow just now. Your new best friend should be your bank manager, your relationship manager. Can you increase your overdrafts? Can you get an overdraft? Can you have a conversation with them to get some information in regards to the coronavirus business interruptions loan, which we'll touch on and talk about in a moment. So, because again, there's more details still getting released on that. But get yourself positioned to take advantage of all of this. Now, Richard, with regards to the grants and so forth, you might want to touch on this, you might want to reference off to that, but you can maybe cover that.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right to touch upon that lag part, because a lot of the people obviously are glued to the television, some too much, obviously, with the news and stuff. And anytime they see the Chancellor and he's talking about business or he's talking about the employees, and an announcement gets made, a promise gets delivered over that microphone, they suddenly try and rush to go and get it. And that's simply not going to happen. There is always a lag behind these decisions. It can be a week, but what we are finding, it can be 2 to 3 weeks minimum before it starts to come through the finer print, if you like. That's what we like to call it. Now, on the grants thing, again, just to date stamp where we are, that has moved on, and we had a lot of clarity, which is good. So what they stated was they would put in place different levels of grant structures. For example, there's a £10,000 grant structure that's available for businesses within a certain criteria. There's a £25,000 grant structure that's available for other businesses, depending on your rateable value and stuff. And for a period, there was no further detail. No one knew how to get that. And that lag was caused because central government had to update local government to actually make the flow happen. And thankfully, that has now happened, certainly in the majority of the councils. So check which area that you're in, your local government, your local council area, and look for these grants. See the one that you might be eligible for. The application form is online. It's quite a simple process. You have some multiple choice things to make sure, yeah, that's definitely the one that you can, apply for. And then at the bottom end of that form is just all the details of your company, what areas you're involved in and so on. And what they've promised at the moment is everyone needs to get those applications in before the 31st of March. So let's use the time to get that stuff done for your company. And also that there should be, they're hoping for this, a 10-day turnaround on it. So the central government is behind it all. It's not a loan, it is a grant. And the local governments have now got that promise, that structure in place to at least handle the applications. So they'll deliver them. Obviously, they might reject them on whatever grounds. But if they are accepted, then the local governments know that central government has got the money behind that one. So make sure you look into that information. The next one on things like non-domestic rates and so on, that's one that's still hanging in there. So all sorts of promises have been made to try and support businesses because, as we know, lots of offices and development companies and sites, they're all being closed, they're all being shut down, and yet those rates bills are hanging over your head. So everyone's waiting to see what is the fine print on this. How is it I can be helped? And am I eligible for help? Is it only going to be a certain structure of businesses, certain areas within the industry? So keep an eye on that one. And the best way to do that is, again, look at your local government, your local council site, find the area of their portal which is about non-domestic rates, and then bookmark that, keep that, because what you'll find, Glasgow certainly get this one in place up here for ourselves, is that they've got a main notice there all about coronavirus and explaining, listen, we're working on things, we're still negotiating exactly how the detail and the criteria will work. Keep checking on this page and we'll deliver the information soon. There's no date, it's just soon. So it could be that will last another week. It could be, by Monday, there'll be something that will be released. We'll just have to wait and see on that. Paul, you touched on the kind of loan part of the puzzle, which of course is completely different from grants. You're right. We have to go into that with our eyes open. And it could be a structure of applying for the loan, which is the Business Interruption Loans, specifically to do with coronavirus. Or it could be, as you said, some kind of overdraft facility. And again, that's through, number one, the overdraft part is going to be through your existing bankers. But I think it's important to touch on, and Paul, you've hooked in with a lot of business leaders on this one, that the loan itself, the Business Interruption Loan, you don't necessarily have to go to your own bank for this. I don't know if you want to chat about that. And also, we don't know yet the detail of it, or sorry, that's not fair. We know a bit of the detail that the government will cover the kind of interest payment structure for the first year, the first 12 months. It can be a loan that will be put in place up to 6 years. The liability for it, because it is a loan, is all on you. It's all on your company, 100%, the liability of it. But the government will underwrite it to the extent of 80%. So that's the information we know just now. But what we don't know is, well, okay, but what is the interest rate and how will this work? And what's the kind of term? And if the interest is getting paid by government in the first 12 months, what happens in year 2? And is this going to really shock me and surprise me later on? People are waiting on that, but it's safe to say, you've kind of touched upon this as well, your own contacts, Paul, is that it's not just your own bank. There's a whole area of lenders, and it might actually suit you just now to do a bit of shopping around and talking. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, the first place that people are going to think about is to go to their own bank, but their own bank may not be the best option. There's, I believe, just over 40 participating banks that's part of the Business Interruption Loan. So you can shop around, and what you'll realise and what you'll start to find when you shop around is that they'll have slightly different criteria. They might have, take your profit and give you a higher multiple of that loan. They might look at your cash flow. They might look at businesses that don't have a number of years accounts and so forth. So just like when it comes to buying a property, there's many different lenders and there's lots of different interest rates and lots of different options, different eligibility. This will be the exact same for this loan as well. So a couple of highlight thoughts. And the reason I say thoughts is because nothing's for sure at the moment. But a number of people I'm talking to who are communicating with their respective banks, and the common thing is keep on popping up, and that is if you are eligible, if you were already eligible for a loan, chances are you'll get this. If you weren't, there's this whole misconception that they're just going to basically give anybody loans, and that does not look like the case. First and foremost, you've got to demonstrate that your business has been affected by the coronavirus. It's the coronavirus business interruption loan. It's not a take this loan and go and build your business loan. It's an interruption loan. So you're going to have to showcase a few things. One, that you're going to basically have to say that what's happened in your business to affect the income that's coming in, so your business has been affected. Two, you're going to have to show them that with this loan input, this cash injection, how you're going to be able to cash flow yourself through this, and ultimately when and how you're going to get into a position to start repaying that loan, because that loan will need to be repaid after 12 months. Okay, the banks are going to underwrite that interest payment for the first 12 months, but then you're going to have to pay that going forward. And remember, each bank will have their own interest rates that they're going to be setting for that period going forward, so keep that in mind. So we really need to be aware. A lot of people have got this illusion that the government, because they're going to underwrite it by 80%, that they're taking on the risk. No, 100% of the loan falls on you. Your banks will get you to sign personal guarantees. I can't see how any of these banks wouldn't. So understand that directors of companies will have to sign personal guarantees. Understand that they will be judged on their profitability as it was before the interruption. And more importantly, their cash flow going forward if they're going to be in a position to be able to turn things around. So there's a lot of things, like if your business has been affected and you had certain things coming up and whatever that may be, and you're relying on this income, you can put that in and demonstrate and show that you lost this money. If you had things that were due in the coming weeks, coming months, or contracts that were supposed to be won, that's lost income. Your business has been interrupted. So you can show that because of what's happened, you've lost X amount of income, and you really need to get trading again. You really need to show how you need to cash flow your staff and all the different overheads and so forth. Then the chances are you will get this. Now, again, it depends on how much you're going to get. This is a loan from 0 to 5 million, but doesn't mean that you can just go and apply for 5 million. It's not going to be like that. First and foremost, they will be asking you how much you need. Now, it's this awkward conversation where you don't want to, the answer really is, well, I need 5 million, right? But you're not going to get that, so you're going to have to be realistic. So the chances are is if you have a relationship manager with your bank, a good conversation with them, have a chat with your accountant, because your accountant will be assisting many other businesses with this application. And chances are is that they will be processing things, they'll be getting feedback from the clients, which means that you'll get good indications on what you should actually be applying for. Your accountant will give you an idea on your profitability, the cash flows, your business, and the ability to repay, what you should probably be going for. And again, of course, shop around, but if you've got pre-existing relationships with your bank, it might be worth having that conversation, because these banks want you to get the loan, because they make money by lending you money. This is a dream for those banks, because the government is, in a sense, underwriting 80%, which means that they're basically going to give you the best possible chance to get the loan. Of course, you still need to be eligible. But with all of that in mind, they just need to have a tick box to make sure that you present yourself well and showing that you have genuinely been interrupted by this loan. So that's going to be a big thing to focus on. And that leads into, Richard, which we can both maybe talk about, the what's going to help your employees to cash flow them, the furloughing process, which I'll get you to maybe talk about that in a second, Richard. And again, it's just come out that self-employed folk are going to get 80% of their income as well in certain tax breaks. But remember, the devil's in the detail, and the finer details still to come out in that one. So that's just a recent one. And that's going to be one where it's going to hurt a lot of self-employed people for the very reasons as a lot of people take cash and don't declare that. A lot of them try and keep their income very low for a purpose so they can pay less tax and everything else. And that's unfortunately going to affect them because they can only show what they're basically taking an average of your last 3 years' earnings. Now, for those that have been self-employed for a shorter period of time, I don't know what the finer detail is and what they will actually pay that individual, but someone who's been self-employed for 3 or more years, they're going to take their average that you've earned. And some self-employed businesses, especially if you've only been running for a year, 2 years, 3 years or what, the first couple of years of your self-employed journey are not the best, are they? Because you're starting and building your business. So I don't know if they're going to, for most people, are going to get a good deal out of that, but at least it's better than the universal tax credits and so forth, but more details to come out on that. So Richard, do you want to touch on the furloughing process for employees?
Yeah, sure. I think you're right with the self-employed one. That's the real hot potato right now. And again, it's at time of this recording. Obviously, it's changing by the hour. If you want to see debates, if you want to see arguments, jump onto Twitter and type something in like self-employed or self-employed support, because there's all sorts of shouting matches going on with that one. They promised something at the microphone, then some of the finer details started to come out, and at the moment there's so many different criterias and hoops to jump through that there's a lot of people very unhappy with it. Now that might change, the kind of pushback might change them into yet another update. We just need to see that one, but that seems to be the real hot potato at the moment. The kind of simpler one, and I better make sure I say that kind of disclaimer, is on the employed or employee front. So Martin Lewis in particular actually is kind of building himself up as quite a leader in this front. Got to credit him on that one. Doing a lot of broadcasts, trying to help a lot of people on the business side of things, on the employee side of things, and whenever he can, he's putting out wee video updates, etc., through Twitter and LinkedIn and everywhere else. So if you know that gentleman, Martin Lewis from, is it Money Saving Expert? Is that his kind of domain? Yeah. So doing a great service, doing his bit, if you like. He's been talking about this furlough process. So if you have a company, and there's loads of them just now, that they've got the staff, they've got employees, and I need to stress that part of the puzzle. It's not, consultants, it's not just kind of agency staff. This is through the books, pay as you earn, actual payrolled employees on your staff. Your business stops, just like most have, big massive interruption. You can't do anything about that, and you're suddenly looking at the staff and thinking, well, I love them to bits, but this is my biggest expense possibly. This is gigantic. What do I do here? Do I need to move them all on? Do I need to cut cords now because we've built this fantastic team? I can't believe this. Are they going to now have to leave me and go and try and scrape some kind of living elsewhere, etc.? So one of the good things, certainly so far, is this protection furlough process. So in other words, the staff would be spoken to and communicated with. That's the key part of the puzzle, and they would be in writing given the information that they're going to be furloughed. In other words, there's nothing here for you. The work stopped, your role has stopped, so you can't fulfill it anymore. So, you're in this status of you have to be let go, if you like. But within that, what the government are saying is they'll come in and provide a safety net for that, this 80% safety net. They'll come in and work with you as the business, work with through HMRC, knowing that you're on this payroll and inside all these mechanisms that can be checked and triple checked, that they will cover 80% of what their salary is. Now, again, the precise finer details have still to come out. There's been some notices saying that what they'll do is they'll look at the month of February and they'll use that as the benchmark of, okay, so you had those staff and that's the salaries that were on, right? Okay, so that's been put on the table. The other thing that's been put on the table is that they'll backdate this from the 1st of March going forward. All these things may change. All these things may become a wee bit clearer, but that's what we know at the moment. And then that will take a big burden of a lot of companies' costs away. Now, there's employer costs within that the employer still has to cover. The national insurance deductions, the kind of PAYE contributions, etc. You pay pension contributions, this kind of thing. So companies need to be really careful and factor this in. This is a real key example of why you need your power team around you as a business. everybody's going to be leaning on their accountants to check these details. Maybe your payroll gets done by an external company. Make sure you really lean on them when the precise finer details come out so you can judge it. Because some companies, they might be in a great position that they'll be able to say, right, this is good. Let's use this support net to go up to that 80% level. And I, as a company, I've got enough cash reserves, I've got enough of a position, I'm going to supply the balance, I'm going to fill in the difference. So the guy and the girl at the end of that line, the employee, the staff, they don't see a difference. They still see the same money coming in, and obviously that gives them a great relief to continue on. Some of them won't be in that lucky position, and they'll really have to lean on that lower level of 80%. But if you've had that discussion, obviously, with your staff, that might be something that they're very, very grateful for anyway, because it's a time, as we can easily imagine, that it's not exactly easy to go out and go to interviews and find some new job for, a position that you might have held previously. So that's coming there. Now, the big gap at the moment is that the system isn't ready yet, because you can imagine that's gigantic. So the politician says something at the microphone. Now all of the kind of civil servants of the HMRC guys and girls, they're just frantically jumping in to try and now implement that. Talk about the speed of implementation, my goodness. So that portal of being able to do that and put those submissions through is not ready yet, or certainly at time of this recording. It could be that it'll be another couple of weeks away, who knows, but there's been enough of a promise that this is a safety net that's going to be provided. So you can at least start to have those discussions, connect with your staff, point out that you'll be able to use this hopefully, and definitely have all your discussions with your accountants so that you're ready. There's no point just sitting back waiting. Get everything lined up, get your payroll evidence lined up, get all the systems lined up, reference numbers, staff people, the written letters about it, or get all that ready so that once the thing becomes active, then you can jump in and help the people, which, let's be honest, they've built your business for you. They're the foundation of your business. So it's can take away a lot of worry. Excellent, Paul. Is there any other stuff we should touch upon at the moment? We've got the grants, we've got the loans, the overdrafts, interruption loans, etc., staff furloughing, self-employed thing, big hot potato. We'll see how that one unfolds. Any other kind of support areas? We're trying to keep on top of this situation as it unfolds, obviously. I mean, before we've just came on air, let's point this out, the Prime Minister himself has just been positively diagnosed as having the coronavirus. I mean, it's just crazy. Every hour, something pops up. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be like this for the coming weeks. And what we really need to understand is this lockdown, if you want to call it, where we have to isolate at home. This is for a 3-week period, and we're day 4. And I don't know about you guys listening to this, but it feels like a long 4 days, So we've got 2.5 weeks minimum of this, and it's looking like other countries are extending their time frame, So we don't know when this is going to end, and the sooner we start to look for the positives. Listen, I've said this so many times. I put a post on LinkedIn actually to talk about how I was looking for the opportunity and all this stuff, and I had so many people attack me thinking that I was not sensitive to what's happening in the world. Now, does that mean that every single post I post, I need to always put down a little caveat at the bottom and say, disclaimer, I'm still thinking about it? Of course, that's obvious. I'd like to think that we all have those closest to us, the vulnerable and all that stuff at mind. We don't want people to lose life. We don't want this to wreak havoc and so forth. But the reality is, the one thing that we don't want is we don't want to be consumed by this fear. We don't want this to really take us out of being able to do something with our lives, So it's how you react to this is going to make all the difference. So we need to be very real about what's happening and how real that is in the world and do our part. But let's think differently to see the opportunity. Let's be positive as best as we can possibly be under the circumstances. And if we have that routine and we're waking up in the morning, getting a little bit of exercise in, go and do a walk, take a walk. You can still go out and have a walk and get some fresh air. You can leave your house All right, so leave the house, take a walk around your garden or in the street. If you see another human being, then keep your distance. So still get out there, spend some time with the family and so forth, but get work done. And this goes for those who are employed as well. I love how our I don't like to call them staff because it's like a little family that we've got. We've got a great core team that are, yesterday I did a little check-in in our group conversation, and we're coming back and having a laugh, having a joke about things and making the most of their situation. They're getting work done under the circumstances. And from that point of view, it keeps their mind occupied. It's keeping them moving. It's they can see the opportunity and that we're all in this together. So if you're employed, then maybe reach out. You may be already doing this. If you're listening to this podcast, I can guarantee you this is you anyway, But how can you become an extra asset to your employer? Can you throw in some ideas? Think about it. The owners of the company, the directors, the leaders, they tend to be the ones that come up with 99% of the ideas and all of this stuff and how they're going to come up with the next thing or whatever that may be. It's always refreshing. I know it is for me when I hear my team coming to me with, Paul, what about this here? Have you maybe looked at that there? And I'm like, oh my God, two things. One, well, I never thought of that. I'm definitely going to think about that. Or two, it's you see some star quality in that person and you can be that star quality. How can you do more? This is crazy. How can you do more during this time when those that are got you in a job in the first place need you more than ever, need you to step up more than ever? So this works for both those who are in their own business to those who are employed as well. And I get it. If you're employed, you're probably sitting there thinking, Paul, I don't want to be a great employee because I want to leave my job and become a full-time investor or developer. I get that. I understand. But listen, this is a time of leading and assisting everybody where we can. And I can guarantee you, if you step up and go over and beyond just the bare minimum, I'm talking about really taking it up a level and go all out in all areas of your life when you need it the most in these times. My mentors I listen to the Navy SEALs guys, Jocko, Mark Devine, David Goggins, all these different people that I listen to. And what they all talk about is that under intense pressure and stress in the battlefield, where it's life and death situations and everything's going on, it's chaotic. That's the times where you need to really remain calm. You need to lead not only yourself, but others around you. And listen, this is not as dramatic as a war zone right now, but I can guarantee you this is your opportunity, the closest thing you'll probably get to having to step up and lead in all areas. And this is it. This is your opportunity to show star quality. This is your opportunity if you're running your own business to really realise what you're truly capable of. If you get through this, it's not if, when you get through this, you're going to be, wow, look what I was able to handle. Look what I was able to weather. I was able to weather that storm. I got through that. I came out stronger for that. It means anything that comes your way in the future, it will just be like water off a duck's back. You'll be able to, this is your preparation. This is your pre-training to what's coming in another global recession. Because I tell you what, this is not, whatever's happened right now, there's no government stimulus package coming in a recession. There's no bailouts during the next recession. It's going to be catastrophic. And I would guarantee you that what you do and how you embrace and how you get through all of this just now and how you act to it will then help you and put you in a very good position to handle this going forward. So now's the time to really get focused, level up in all areas of your life, and you'll get through this. You will. We'll all get through this and we'll become stronger for it.
Tremendous. Resilience. That's the key word, isn't it? That's what it's building in, is all resilience. That's excellent. Great stuff, Paul. Stay by the bat phone because there's press conferences every hour, almost. There's updates every day. There's changes within the whole business world, etc. Certainly every day, that's for sure, in the economy and people going forward. So hopefully you can stay by the phone for us and we can just reach out to you, bring you back in and get your thoughts on things. For us just now, we're going to let this man get back to his busy home with children running about everywhere, and he's trying to juggle that between different Zoom calls and different phone calls with clients and so on and so forth. For all the people who are listening who are connected with people from the NHS. We certainly put our thanks out there and appreciation. It happened as a country last night, but those are the real leaders in this scenario for us just now, that's for sure. They're doing the top important stuff for everyone, keeping us all safe. So God bless every one of them. That's fantastic. And for everyone else, tune in for the next show when you can, and do what the man says. Build up your resilience, see where you can lead, see where you can focus on your business, see the things that you can pick up on, projects you've had in the back burner, things you can tighten up on, how you can help your clients and so forth. But Paul, for today, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Cheers.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I did. Remember, with the guests that you just saw, go into the show notes for the page, because all of their links are there so that you can get in touch and to get more information. And talking about getting more information, more guests, more insights, more knowledge, etc., make sure you're subscribed. Get the subscription done, get the notifications on, and then we'll always keep in touch with you every single time a brand new show is going to come out. So thanks for tuning to This Week in Property.